Alright. So, if you've seen the movie before, you know why I have a frisbee player over my shoulder there. We're talking Hard Ticket to Hawaii, and thank you, Ross. Thank you for making me watch this movie. Especially after that shit you gave me last week with Society. So, Hard Ticket to Hawaii is a 1987 very B movie action movie. It's directed by a guy who's known for directing approximately like three movies, all of which follow the same formula, Andy Sedaris. And I think he also has an Emmy. He might have had an Emmy for doing the Olympics, I think, if my research is correct. Now, Hard Ticket to Hawaii, we're going to run through our 80 checklist. So, what's our weapon of choice? Rocket launchers and nunchucks. Alright, that's 80s. How much nudity? A lot. Like, two steps below porn. Maybe one and a half. Alright, that's the 80s. Is a sex doll used as a weapon and then blown up by a rocket launcher? You betcha. Oh, we're still talking 80s. Now, do we have cheesy one liners? Yes, we do. Are they delivered by Arnold Schwarzenegger? No. Crap. Well, we're still 80s, but we're just not as good 80s. Alright, so this movie follows DEA agents and a civilian who is in the witness protection for ratting on the mob, but is allowed to help on this case because apparently helping the DEA is safer than dealing with the mob. So we're going from the mob to drug cartels. Now, as you might guess from the title, this movie takes place in Hawaii and has a lovely theme song singing the title. You know, it's a hard ticket to Hawaii. So things that happen in this movie. Well, you have a drug dealer that they're trying to catch, cool, with like an evil rich dude at the head of it that's not in the movie very much. That uses toy helicopters as delivery methods. Awesome. You have a murderous cancer snake. You heard that right. A murderous cancer snake. Now, that is almost on the level of the radioactive, ill-tempered sea bass from Austin Powers with lasers on their back. And if you see how this snake emerges from a toilet, you would think he like has a laser rock show somewhere. He at least has some pyrotechnic experience with the amount of like fog and lights that come out of the toilet while he's coming out to kill a bad guy. Yeah, so now I feel like I have to tell you about the blow up doll as a weapon first. Well, you get this guy who's skateboarding next to two of our quote unquote heroes. Uh, I also forgot on the 80s checklist. Is there casual racism and sexism? Oh, there sure is. In fact, the director casts himself as a guy who is professing that he really cares about this girl. And this girl's like, "You borderline raped me last night." And he said, "That's last night. We're talking today." So, I, bravo, director. You chose the role of a lifetime to cast yourself in there. Jeez. Now, okay, so yeah, two of our agents see this guy skateboarding on his hands down the road and they go, "Wow, that guy must be smoking some massive doobies." Wow, excellent writing. Excellent writing there. Um, and then guy comes out of nowhere carrying a sex doll, which I think he's using to hide his gun, which he then shoots one of the agents, not fatally, of course. And then they knock him into the air. They shoot him with a rocket launcher, and apparently he's made of beanbag materials, because that's what it looks like falling out. And then they shoot the sex doll with the rocket launcher. The sex doll was an innocent. It looked like a hostage situation with the sex doll. I see no reason to blow up the sex doll. Come on, guys. So, yeah. So you get a bunch of crazy action scenes like that where nunchucks are involved. They throw nunchucks at one time. They have a perfectly good throwing star and they throw nunchucks. So that's cool. um, and you get a razor blade frisbee, which you can see over my right shoulder. Yeah, so in the single greatest scene in movie history, you get, so guy's casually playing frisbee with one of the guards, and then he reaches into his bag and pulls out a razor blade frisbee, and said razor blade frisbee cuts off the guy's fingers and then lodges into his neck. Brilliant. Brilliant movie making there. I love it. In all seriousness, this movie is so much fun. It is B movie through and through. The script is terrible, the action is humorous, and the acting is terrible, and the directing is terrible. But oh my god, it's been a while since I've had this much fun with a bad movie. And now, if you watch the video of Ross explaining why he picked Hard Ticket to Hawaii, the tagline we have on that video is obscure meme movie. I was so underselling this because I had not yet watched this movie, obviously, when I uploaded the video for Ross. And while obscure meme movie is technically true, this movie is like on the level of some of the best memes I've ever seen. Like, it's up there with B movie almost. It's almost like The Room. Like, it's that level of memes are going on here. And a lot of it is really from the action and the obscene amount of nudity. Like, there is so much nudity in this movie. I was honestly surprised when I found out that this movie was not made by Cinemax to air at 1 a.m. on like weeknights. Like, that's the type of movie you get here. And the plot line is basic, like, it's could have been a porn plot line. Like, if they made a porn movie with this, there's enough sex scenes in this that they could have. Like, they just had to go a little more graphic with the sex scenes. And this probably would have been a relatively successful porn movie for Cinemax or HBO or whoever ended up signing on for it. So, yeah, the obscene amount of nudity. You get a lot of just random nudity at, like, very early random nudity. Like, 5 minutes in, not even probably, there's nudity. You get a scene where they have to check out some contraband and they choose to go topless in a hot tub to do so. Now, that contraband is diamonds. I hope you don't drop any, because that will be hard to find in a hot tub. There's a lot of sex scenes, and you get male nudity and female nudity. Not a bra is to be worn in this movie. Like, I'm pretty sure in all of the actresses' contracts, they're like, oh yeah, no bras allowed. None. Can't have a single bra. And they're like, well, what about when we're off screen? Nope, not allowed. So yeah, that's the type of movie we're talking about. Oh yeah, the murderous cancer snake. Yeah, that thing just kind of appears occasionally. It eats a honeymooning couple. And the drug lord that they're fighting against for most of the movie, he is very terrified of snakes. Like, in the first 30 minutes, this is how threatening this guy is. He sees the snake, and he's pretty far away from the snake, and he freaks out and starts shooting at it, and then immediately gets shot in the face, which apparently he gets shot dead on, but like, they show it as like getting grazed because, you know, they need him for the rest of the movie apparently, even though he's like the least intimidating villain ever put to screen. Like, really, really not intimidating. I'm not sure he wins a single fist fight, technically speaking. And he's so not intimidating that they start to drive off and they're like, oh shit, we forgot to kill that guy. Yeah, that's kind of what you were there for. Maybe go back and do that. And they don't even kill him. They get back, and one of the girls is fighting him, and like, she's losing, and before she goes to flush the toilet, and then smoke erupts from the toilet, and then boom, murder cancer snake comes out and kills the dude. And then another guy shows up to shoot the snake with a rocket launcher that just blows up the head of the snake. That the rocket launcher just blows up the head of a snake. That is a weak ass rocket launcher there. But this movie is just so much fun. It knows exactly what it is. Like, this movie, it's not trying to be high art. It's not trying to be action. They're like, hey, this is a low budget, kind of slimy 80s action movie that we're just going to go off the wall with. And that's, I mean, they achieved that. Of course, it's the 80s, so there's some racism and sexism, so, but it's almost comical with how bad it is. And really, I had a lot of fun watching this movie. If you watched or listened to our podcast, we actually did a month where we talked about movies that were under 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. And we did a scale where it's like from -10 to 10, how good was the movie, with like a -8 being better than a 0, because you know it's objectively bad, but you entertain the whole time, which that's what this movie is. Um, the more I think about it, the higher of a negative grade I want to give it. I was at first like a -8, but I'm leaning more towards a -9 now, because I did have a lot of fun with this movie. Way more fun than last week, even though last week was a better movie. Um, so this movie, I'm not surprised Ross picked it. This screams like a movie Ross would enjoy, and I enjoyed it very, very much. Especially the amount of nunchucks in it. There's a lot of nunchucks for some reason. Like, at one point, someone threatened someone by holding nunchucks up to their throat. I'm like, oh, you're gonna bruise my trachea? Like, that'll suck, but it's not comparable to slitting a throat, I don't think. I'm not in the medical field, but yeah. I mean, this movie, I would recommend watching it, especially if you like watching bad movies. This is one of the best bad movies you could watch. So, with next week, we're going to continue me making Ross watch animated shows. Little hint, it's animated show, not an anime, because the next show I'm making him watch is not from Japan. But yeah, Hard Ticket to Hawaii, I'm giving it 2 thumbs up. This movie is something else.